Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity host Steve-O. Sit back each week while Steve-O educates you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O with today's expert in their field.
Hey, the greatest thing when you come in to do your show, especially if it's the first Thursday of the month when we have the K. Bender Rimbaum law firm here, is you come in and there's already someone wanting to talk on the phone. So we hate it when people sit there. So let's
Hello,
go.
Everybody.
Let's go to our first. Cameron is our first caller. Hi, Cameron.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good.
We're ready for you.
Okay. My question is, I live in a very small condominium development of only 17 units, and we are having a real hard time keeping up our reserves. And so we were thinking of getting rid of our wind mitigation insurance. That being said, we were wondering if we put that to a vote of our owners. Do we have to have every single owner agree 100% before we can get rid of our wind mitigation insurance, or can you just use a majority or maybe 66% like our condo docs say?
Well, Cameron, I heard you, but I didn't hear everything you said. Something about your reserves. What was that about your reserves?
Well, we're having a very hard time getting our reserves up to an acceptable point, really, because we're such a small condominium.
Okay, I understand. Okay. Well, reserves and insurance are two different issues, but under Florida statutes, as the Condominium Act in Chapter 718, .111, subsection 11, requires the association to maintain adequate insurance. And it does not offer the opportunity for the unit owners to vote not to comply with the statutory requirement. Wind insurance would be considered something that is necessary for your condominium association, particularly here in South Florida. And in the absence of 100% approval of the owners, and probably you'd want to get that from the lenders that hold mortgages against all the units as well, there would be exposure to the association of a significant amount if you dropped your wind insurance.
All right. But if we had 100% who said that they all agreed we wanted to drop it, that would just be the risk we're taking then.
Correct. In all likelihood, if you have 100% of the owners that approve, nobody's going to challenge the fact down the road. But if there are any mortgages against any of the units, the lenders are going to require there be a wind insurance on the building in order for that mortgage to stay in place. And if it isn't, then the lender will place it and charge the owner for that placement. So that's something to bear in mind.
I understand. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think that answers my question.
All right, Cameron, thanks for calling.
We already have another call ready.
Okay, well, we're K. Bender Rimbaum, and we do community association law in South Florida.
And we'll get there. Let's go to Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hello, gentlemen.
Ah, he's talking to you. How you doing today?
I am doing fine. Yourselves?
Good. You got a good radio voice there.
Why, thank you. I am the president of the board of a small condominium association. And one of the things we're doing is we're revising our rules and regulations. And so we came up with a proposed revision. We sent it out to membership for review and comment, put a 2-week time frame on it, and received quite a few comments. So now what I've done is called a meeting of the board of directors to review the comments and to reply. And I just got a challenge saying that I cannot have a meeting of the board of directors without membership involvement.
Well, under Florida statutes, whenever a quorum of the board meets to conduct association business, the meeting has to be properly posted at the condominium and at least 48 hours in advance, and owners are entitled to attend and participate.
Now, that is if there's a quorum of directors.
Correct.
So, as a workaround, I could contact each director individually and discuss the response?
Board members are allowed to discuss among themselves by email or individually, so long as there's not a quorum of the board in attendance conducting business, making decisions, then there is not a requirement that there be a posted notice and owners to participate. Now, with respect to your rules and regulations, most condominiums authorize the board to make those decisions as to what the rules will be, and certainly input from the owners is a good idea, but ultimately it's a board decision unless your documents require owner vote on the rules themselves.
Our documents require a 75% membership approval.
Okay. So ultimately, while the board may decide for these are the rules we want to propose, there will have to be an owners meeting called to ultimately adopt them.
Correct. And as a follow-up to that, there's a 75% approval rate required to pass the revised rules and regulations. How do I handle if I don't get full 18 units, the full membership voting? What if someone doesn't vote? How does that handle in that 75% approval rate?
Well, if it reads 75% of all of the unit owners, then it will be necessary that 75% of the owners participate and vote in favor of the proposal in order for it to pass. There is the possibility, if you do it at a meeting and you use proxies to vote, if you don't have enough votes, you can recess the meeting. The proxies are good for up to 90 days. You can come back in 30 days if you've gathered more proxies, and until you've expired that 90-day time period or gotten the number that you needed before that. If your bylaws authorize, you can also adopt the rules with the vote of 75% through a written consent without holding a meeting, but your bylaws will have to contain the authority to do it that way.
Yes, and they don't. It's a 75% approval vote. Okay, you've been extremely helpful, and I thank you for your time.
Oh, you're very welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Keep listening.
I will.
Well, we always go to their callers first, but now I can introduce you now. So I'm here with one of the senior partners, Robert K. K. Bender Rimbaum is the name of the law firm. They are community association attorneys. They've been on our show for about 3 years, always the first show on Thursday of the month, and you love taking phone calls.
We do.
So let me give you our phone number here. It's 888-565-1470. Write this down, 888-565-1470. Now, if they go to your website, they're at home, they can actually watch the show right now.
You can see us on the screen at kbrlegal.com. You can press on the link to the radio show, and that should stream what we're doing now. So hello to those who are watching.
And where's your co-pilot at today? I wouldn't say that if he was here.
Mr. Bender.
Michael Bender.
Had some client matters to attend to,
Okay.
so he asked me to handle this by myself, and hopefully I can do that to everyone's satisfaction.
You know, I've always told you I love doing the show with you because you just, when you explain, you make it so easy for anybody to understand. You don't talk over people. A lot of lawyers do that. I should know. I've got a lot of lawyers with our show. So I think we can actually kind of get some stuff in right now. Tell everybody about the firm.
Well, K. Bender Rimbaum has been continuously providing legal services to community associations and throughout the lower half of Florida since 1992. We have offices in Pompano Beach and Palm Beach Gardens presently. We cover the full range of services for community associations, be it reviewing their covenants, providing advice as to interpretations of them, dealing with enforcement issues on violations, collection of unpaid assessments, contract negotiation, litigation issues, contract disputes, anything an association runs across during the course of their day-to-day existence involves legal work. They're technically a business dealing with other people's money, and the board of directors has to operate the business and needs the assistance of experts such as attorneys, accountants, and hopefully property managers, because they do provide a good service to associations as well. So in our two offices, and you mentioned providing answers in a way that you can understand, that's been our basic mission statement since the beginning, is providing the legal advice in a manner that is understandable by everybody and cost efficient as well as time efficient.
And I know service is so important. You can tell by your staff. You've got a great amount of staff there. And I got to tell you, he would never say this, I can't. You got a lot of clients. And when you have a lot of clients, you're doing something right for your clients, because word gets around either way, positive or negative.
Well, it is important. We are in a service industry, and providing the service that our clients need is what's important. And you don't call your lawyer because you want to chat or because you're friends, you want to hang out. You call because you have an issue, you need resolving it, and you need it done quickly, and you need it done without spending an arm and a leg, and that's what we offer to our clients.
Let's go. We have another caller. Let's go to Susan. Hi, Susan.
There, I'm calling about an HOA, and it's about Irma, Hurricane Irma. Different, but kind of related to what the first callers went into. When I purchased here, and I looked at the insurance policy, and this was a couple of years ago, and I saw that we had hurricane insurance, and it was an umbrella policy. So I've had umbrella policies before, and it covers everything, okay? Now, after Irma, we were given a special assessment close to $1,000 for cleanup work and for future work, like putting in sod, things like that. Well, I believe, and I'm asking your advice, I think that, and actually I have two instances where the board has admitted negligence. Due to their negligence, not having the insurance and having this much damage, there's a cause of action for negligence, for not insuring the property properly, because everything that was damaged was primarily landscaping, but a lot, where they came in with guys spending $95,000 to clean up stuff in a week, right? So I have an idea of bringing an injunction based on the cause of action negligence, also the misuse of the term emergency, as they're trying to use funds under that emergency umbrella to do work 6 months from now, 8 months from now. So do you think I have a good cause of action? And also the damages are emotional and financial distress.
Okay, so what is your question to me?
Do you think that is a decent cause of action for negligence? Because they did admit, the board of directors admitted at the meeting when they voted in the special assessment that they should have had funds set aside, blah, blah, blah. They knew about this years ago. And they charged us nearly $1,000 per parcel.
Now, I got all that. Whether or not it's negligence on the part of the board is an issue that, from what you've described, may or may not exist. It would not be an action for injunction, because an injunction is a cause of action that requires somebody to do or not do something. And you're expressing a situation.
It would be to stop the collection of the nearly $1,000 from the membership.
Okay, then that would not be based on.
Have the issue resolved.
Susan, that would not be. Susan, that would not be based on negligence then. Negligence would be for damages, and you'd have to have demonstrable financial damages in order to pursue negligence. There may be a breach of fiduciary duty. Susan, you can wait for me to answer, or you can keep talking. It's going to be up to you.
We got to have a two-way conversation.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You can possibly have a breach of fiduciary duty. The documents would have to be reviewed to see what the association's responsibility is with respect to insurance, whether or not there was a duty to purchase it, or whether it just made business sense to do it, which is a different standard. Whether insurance of the nature you're talking about is even available, and whether or not deductibles for getting such insurance would be enough so that you would have enough funds to cover your claim. So there's a lot of information that you still would need to research before you would want to pursue an action of that nature. That aside, you're suing your own association. So when you do that, you're suing basically yourself and your neighbors. Now that can go to the association's director and officer insurance policy, which will likely appoint an attorney to represent the association to defend against the claim that you're making, for which the association will have to spend its deductible, whatever that is, $5,000, $10,000, to defend your lawsuit. And whether or not it's going to be successful or not is still an open question. So those are issues to think about before you undertake such a venture.
Well, I want to take the venture of getting injunctions so we have the time to discover more things that are hidden from the membership. And the other thing, the damages are the emotional distress. And I have videotape, okay, of the meetings, and videotape of the president saying they should have had money set aside for this, and also another in writing that they sent out. So I do have evidence that they breached their fiduciary duty and or were negligent, and the damages are emotional and financial distress. And also they're using in their list of things that add up to almost $1,000 items that are not emergency issues. They use that window of time when we were in a state of emergency to throw in other stuff.
You know what, Susan? We have a hard break. I got to take this break. We'll come back on the other side. And hey, thanks so much for calling. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with K. Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, K. Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert K., Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, K. Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size, and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
Hey, we're back. You know what? I'm going to do this because we're good guys here. If anybody would like a pair of tickets to go see Connie Francis a week from Saturday at the Seminole Coconut Creek, 888-565-1470. I have two pair. You'd like to see Connie Francis.
You have to answer some questions about community
this is
associations.
compliments of K. Bender Rimbaum.
Don't you want to make it a contest?
Wow. Did you want to follow up at all?
Just with respect to the last caller and the issues that were described about, bringing a lawsuit for negligence, emotional distress. These are speculative things that, most attorneys that would bring such a case would likely have to do so on a contingency basis, because those are not the types of cases that hourly attorneys typically, and the lady may not certainly want to be spending tens of thousands or even more money
kind of
in
come out
pursuing
of her own
that.
pocket eventually, though?
It could, and whether or not there is an actual case there, from what I heard, I have my doubts, but I don't have enough information from the call to actually
Sounds
say
like
one
there
way or
may
the
be
other.
some emotions involved.
Well, certainly there is emotional distress, but an injunction requires certain elements to exist, and one of it means imminent harm. And when it's involving money that the courts do not consider to be something that's an imminent harm, it's money damages. So it's not something that even qualifies for an injunction, but it's possible that something could be phrased. The board has wide discretion to use its business judgment to assess within the authority of its governing documents, and whether or not the board did this in this circumstance, I would not know, but those are issues that will ultimately have to be faced.
Well, I always tell you this, what I've learned in our 3 years, if you're a board member, especially if you're the president of a board, you don't want to do this yourself. This is why you have firms like K. Bender Rimbaum. There is so much to know.
There is.
And it's okay that you don't know.
And it's constantly changing.
Yes.
Between statutes changing and court decisions, it's an always evolving area of the law.
If you'd like to call us here, our phone number here is 888-565-1470. And like I said, you could go to your website right now, watch the show, and actually you can go back tonight and rewatch today's show.
It's posted on the website all the time, kbrlegal.com.
So you guys do so much, give so much back to the community. You have your classes and your seminars. So we like to use part of the show to give people dates of when your seminars are going to be. And
well, I'm glad you asked that. We did have one last night of our Ask the Attorney series, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
That's my favorite.
We do have some courses. We give free courses in both of our locations throughout the course of the month. In December, on the 12th, next Tuesday, in our Pompano Beach office, we have a course called Elections, which goes over all of the issues that boards are facing relative to the election time. This is the time of year when elections are upon us, so that's a topical issue that should be of interest.
Elections are usually in January?
Well, they start sometimes as early as November, and the season runs through April-ish when most of them happen. They can happen any time during the year, but the large percentage of them seem to be more seasonal, and that's probably from the time when we're much more snowbirds and more people are here, so they try and time it that way. Homeowners Association Board Member Certification course is being offered in our Palm Beach Gardens office on December 13th at 6 o'clock. The elections course, by the way, next Tuesday is an hour course from 6:30 to 7:30. The board certification course in Palm Beach Gardens, 6 o'clock to 8:30. Both have limited availability of seating. Both offer light snacks, so it's important to RSVP.
There might be new people who want to become board members. I mean, this is...
Well, board member certification is a requirement under the statutes for all of the community associations, condominium, homeowner association, and cooperatives. There's two ways that the statutes allow you to do it. You can sign a piece of paper that says that you've read your documents and will abide by them to the best of your ability, and that's sufficient, or you can attend a certified course that has been vetted by the division
an hour course,
the
right?
Department of Business and Professional Regulation. It's generally closer to 2 hours.
Okay.
We split them up, so we have a homeowner one and we have a condominium one because the issues are slightly different. The statutes are different. So the condominium one is in Palm Beach Gardens on December the 20th. We don't have a condominium one scheduled currently in the month of December. We will have a homeowner association board certification in Pompano Beach in January, and we can talk about that more in January. And then there's a legislative update on Wednesday, December 27th in Palm Beach Gardens. It's called the 2018 legal update, but it involves the statutes that were adopted in 2017. That's the requirement of the course. Now, that course does have continuing education credits for managers, so that one is very helpful. And that's also from 6 o'clock to 8:30, December the 27th in Palm Beach Gardens. All of these can be found on our website at kbrlegal.com. And it is a good idea, as I say, to RSVP so that we can make sure that your seat is available for you when you come.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do, because we've only got a few minutes and we ran late, let's go take our break, and we come back. We're going to I want to talk more about your firm.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with K. Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, K. Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert K., Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, K. Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size, and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
Hey, we're back here. This is the Ask the Expert show. We're on every Thursday from 5 to 6 while you drive home, and every week we have a different expert. We have with us, we've got Mr. Bender, Mr. Robert Bender.
No, I'm not Bender.
I can't believe I said Mr. Robert K. Mr. Bender, who's usually with us, Michael Bender. We probably should say hello just in case
Hello, Michael.
He's listening.
If you're listening, although you are working, so.
And I think we've got a call. So, we like to get to the calls first. So let's go to Zoe. Hi, Zoe.
Hi.
Zoe or Zoe?
Hi there.
I
Thanks
love
for
your
taking my
name.
call.
I love your
appreciate
name.
That. That's very nice of you. Thank you. So my question is pretty basic. I own a condo, and one of the unit owners, she hasn't paid her maintenance fees for over 5 years, and she owes, from what I understand, approximately $30,000, and now she's declared bankruptcy. So how exactly could the association go about getting the money in the unpaid maintenance fees?
Well, that is offering a number of issues of problem for your association. First off, letting somebody get that far behind is never a good idea. We don't recommend that for our clients. We suggest that the sooner you begin pursuing unpaid assessments, the greater your likelihood is of recovery. Many communities think that bankruptcy means they get nothing, but that's not necessarily the case as well. The association's position is what they call secured by virtue of your declaration of condominium and the ongoing lien that you have against the unit for the unpaid assessments. And by being secured in bankruptcy, the association is at a higher level of creditor than your average unsecured individual or a company, credit card company. Those typically will get pennies on the dollar. Secured creditors, such as the association, have a better chance of collecting in full. Obviously, that's subject to any mortgages that are against the property because they're at a higher level of security. Plus, there's also the value of the unit itself, which comes into play. Assuming that the owner is going into Chapter 13, which is for individuals, much like Chapter 11 for corporations who intend to pay back and reorganize their debts and take 5 years to pay them, the association would need to participate in the bankruptcy and put its claim in and follow through with that so that it is included in any plan that is ultimately approved by the bankruptcy court. Once the matter goes into bankruptcy, the association is not allowed to pursue the claim in the state court without the approval of the bankruptcy court. So it's important not to violate the bankruptcy laws by doing anything against the unit that could be considered a challenge to that situation. So everything has to go through the bankruptcy court initially and make sure that you have the right assistance of counsel to get you through that.
Okay.
But for other matters, it's strongly urged that the board be more aggressive in their pursuit of
This is
unpaid
one of the things
assessments.
your firm does. You handle
We do that,
collections.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We do that for,
Yeah, 5 years is too long.
it's way too long.
Okay, well, good. Sounds complicated, but thank you for the info.
All right, Zoe, thanks for calling.
Okay, have a good evening. Bye.
5 years, that's a long time.
We do see that far too often. Like they are neighbors, obviously, and people tend to not want to cause problem internally, or they promise to pay, they start to pay, they don't pay. It's still, as I mentioned earlier, you're running a business. It has to be operated as a business. The attorneys can assist in getting that to fruition quicker.
Hey, it's not us; it's our law firm. We will let you go another 5 years, but it's
Absolutely.
really it's a long time. Then you have to. Now, what do we do now?
Right.
So,
and there's a good chance, and there's also the issue that there's a statute of limitations in Florida, meaning a set period of time by statute that if you don't pursue something within that time period, that can be considered waived. There's a defense. So, and on a contract claim, which this would be, 5 years is what the statute provides. If you don't bring it within 5 years, then there's a defense that you've waived it, and the courts would likely throw that part out. So
see, there's something else that maybe the president or an officer of the association would not even know. So it's just, we always tell you it's not good to try to do this yourself to save some money. Because
and operate your business as a business and make sure that everybody's paying their fair share. Because without the money, the place cannot function.
So now when an association comes to you for the first time, they said not everybody wants everything done. Is that correct? In other words, maybe they don't want you to handle collections, or is it all?
Oh, sure. We have clients that come to us and they just have a single matter they want us to, or they want to test the waters, or
read over documents.
Read over the documents, or provide a second opinion to something they've gotten from somebody else, or handle just collections and someone else is doing their regular work. There's a cousin of the president who they think might know what he's doing. So all sorts of situations can come up. After a while, and people see how we work, they tend to decide to send more of their work our way than less.
It's tough because even if you were a CEO of a company, this is like running a big company.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so let's go back to K. Bender Rimbaum, because we have new people tuning in now. Just kind of go over again, what does your practice do?
Well, we provide a full range of legal services to community associations, condominium, homeowner association, cooperatives, all aspects in dealing with statutory interpretation, Chapter 718, Chapter 719, Chapter 720, Chapter 617, Chapter 712, Chapter 713, Chapter 715. They all come into play at various aspects of what an association has to deal with. So we have a lot of experience and knowledge with respect to the statutory provisions, dealing with their governing documents, their declaration of condominium or covenants, or their proprietary leases, their articles, bylaws. These are all legal documents that affect their ability to use the property and operate their corporation, and things that come up on a daily basis. There are always issues of interpreting the way these documents are written. They don't write them in ways that are readily understandable to the layperson, and oftentimes they're written in a way that opens itself up to different interpretations. And then there are longstanding case law and even newer case law that are dealing with similar issues that come into play. So advising on these types of issues, dealing with violations, collecting of assessments, negotiating contracts, getting out of contracts, dealing with litigation, bringing action against unit owners, defending actions by contractors or suppliers, all sorts of issues that come up every day in many, many communities.
Did you see, are you busier after a hurricane like Irma?
Well, Irma around this part was luckily not so terrible from a perspective of the need for legal services. There's some, certainly, but not like we had with Wilma, or certainly not with Andrew. But, there's always issues that come to light because of an event of that nature.
But do your phones ring more after a major hurricane versus what they would do in the middle of the year? Because, I don't know, but we got a lot of damage.
Tend to ring much the same all the time.
Okay.
And one of the things our clients do note is when they call our office, they actually speak to a person. They don't get into a automated telephone loop and go around in circles. Every call is handled by a live person and put through to a live person. So.
And you have two offices, too.
We do have our Pompano Beach office and Palm Beach Gardens. We can be reached in either at 800-974-0680. You can find us on the internet at kbrlegal.com. And it lists all of our educational courses. Our website has other features. We have resources for anyone to review. We post what we call our legal morsels, which are articles of topical interest, and we also have Rembaugh's Association Roundup, which
Jeffrey
also
Rembaum, who's in
Palm Beach Gardens, yes, and his articles are out there as well. And we, as we talked about earlier in the show, we have our seminars that we put on in our offices, and we also have our traveling show, the Ask the Attorneys, that we do during the course of the winter months. We've had two so far this season. We had one in November, and we had one last night in Pompano Beach. Our next one is January 9th at 6:45 p.m. at the Village Civic Center in Sunrise.
Anybody can come to this.
Anyone can come. We ask that you RSVP. It's open to the public, and there are light snacks that are served. But the way these seminars work is it's a town hall type situation where there's no agenda. The meetings are whatever the people who are there want to talk about. Bring your questions.
But all of a sudden, you find out 5 more questions that you would have.
And it grows from there, and other people may have similar experiences that they share with the other participants. And the 2 hours that we're there tends to go very quickly. And everybody's questions are covered. We get to pretty much everything that's there. So we have one on January 9th, and January the 24th at 11 a.m. will be at the South County Civic Center in Delray Beach. We have one on February 6th, scheduled at the Art Serve in Fort Lauderdale, and March the 6th at Sugar Sands Park in Boca Raton. The last 2 February and March are 6:45. As I say, January 24th is 11 o'clock. We're still in the process of scheduling another one in February and another one in March. As soon as we have those locations set, we'll add that to our posting on our website.
I got a text today. I just answered it for you, but I just want people to know. You also work with associations in Dade County also. It's not
sure.
It's not just Palm Beach County and Broward.
No. Dade County, Monroe County. We're across into the Naples, up
We had someone in
Tampa.
Aventura today who said, do you do any of your shows close to? I didn't think you did, but you do.
We will have. We're looking at areas down in Hallandale and North Miami Beach for some of these.
Oh, there you go.
So there is a. We're looking to do that. We're just trying to find the right spot.
How come? You know what? We used to get questions about animals all the time.
Well, animals still come up. It's been ongoing for a long time, but there was a good portion of last night that was spent discussing dealing with people with their emotional support animals in the no pet buildings, and one interesting situation where they do allow pets, but but only small pets, but emotional support animals can be any size. So they have different rules in place and different things in place on how people apply. So there's all sorts of issues involved with that.
So that's a question would fall under kind of they ask the lawyer.
Yes, and we do offer the course on that topic as well, periodically through the year, a fair housing one.
Well, if you'd like to give us a call, listen, I'm with the man who definitely has the answers, as you already know by now. Our phone number here is 888-565-1470. It's 888-565-1470. We're going to go to break now, and when we come back from break, I've got a couple loaded questions for you. But
Okay.
You always do well when I ask you these kind of questions. Give us a call. We still got another 15 minutes left. 888-565-1470. We'll be right back.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with K. Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, K. Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert K., Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, K. Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
I'm giving one of my questions away. So we got busted. So I'm here with Robert K. The name of the firm is K. Bender Rembaum. Usually Michael's here with us, Michael Bender. And so it's different when it's just you and I. That's fine because you do. I like the way you answer questions. Not Michael does a great job. Michael normally does all the different seminars that are coming up.
He does talk about those much better than I do.
So one of the questions, I think it's so important because there's a lot of board members out there right now, management companies out there that they listen to us every month. But I really like for you because we got a phone call coming, I can already tell. So I don't know if I want to go into the question here. But the question I'm going to ask you is, we're going to see if this is for us. They used to have a little deal that would just tell us who it was on the phone. I don't know why they don't
get that technology up and running
anymore,
again.
We do. We have Kate.
Kate.
Let's go to Kate, and then I've got my question for you.
You have to get it out quicker.
Yeah. Hey, Kate.
Hi. Thanks for taking
Wow,
my
she's
call.
just like ready to go. Okay,
Yes,
so
I'm ready.
Okay, so what's your question for Robert?
So recently, buyers in our condo have been denied financing, even with 50% down, because the clubhouse and pool were never deeded over to the COA. So I'm wondering, what was the logic behind leaving the principal common elements with the developer in 1973, and what can we do now?
Well, your question involves an activity that was much more common back then. But what the developers did in earlier days of development of communities would build a community and then retain ownership of like the swimming pool and the clubhouse and other common areas under a long-term lease. And the association has to pay rent to continue to use its facilities. So the logic behind it was for the developer and the developer's family members to have income guaranteed for 99 years while the association continues to occupy the spot. Now, they also put in provisions for these to go up in the amount of rent on a periodic basis. There was many lawsuits back in the 70s, and part of the problem was they were tying the rents to consumer price index, and that was found to be improper. And so then it got to a different method of calculating the periodic increases, but they still are allowed. It's not the best situation to find yourself in. What can be done is to contact the owner, whoever may be currently, some 40 plus years later, and negotiate an earlier completion with a buyout. Now, this may require getting financing from a bank or some other source because you're talking about possibly 50 or 60 years worth of value that you're trying to accelerate out and get out of sooner, so that the association can then ultimately own all of this property once again. That seems to be the only available legal remedy other than continuing to just pay rent.
Wow, okay. Thank you. That was very informational.
Well, if we can help in any way in negotiating, that's some of the things that we do
What's the name
for
of your
our
law
clients.
firm again?
It is K. Bender Rembam in Pompano Beach and in Palm Beach Gardens.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you
for
very
calling.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Keep listening.
So somebody wanted to know, do you have to do annual meetings for budget, or is that a quarterly,
Well,
or is it different for?
an annual budget is something that all associations have to do.
They have to do that.
In condominiums, the budget procedure is different. The statute lays out what has to be done in a condominium. Before the fiscal year begins, the board is required to have a budget adoption meeting, and for that they have to mail out the proposed budget at least 14 days in advance of the meeting to all of the unit owners. And all the unit owners, of course, are allowed to attend while the board goes over the budget and ultimately adopts it for the following year. In condominiums, the budget is required to have full reserves when it's proposed, which would include all roof, painting, paving, and any deferred maintenance item in excess of $10,000 to be fully funded with that budget. The statute does allow the owners the opportunity, if the board chooses to present the issue, to completely waive reserves for the coming year or reduce them to something less by a vote of a majority of owners who are at a meeting at which a quorum has been established. So once that is done, it's possible that the budget will not have reserves. The concept of the statute is that there should be reserves because that helps to defray these very large expenses down the road without having to face a special assessment. Homeowners associations do not have the same procedure currently in the statute, but still have to adopt a budget, and their governing documents, their declaration or bylaws or both, will typically provide the timing and procedure of doing so. Basically, all of the items of expense that the association has to deal with on an annual basis under its declaration are the things that need to be included in the budget. Now, the Condominium Act lists a bunch of categories. Some of them apply, some of them don't, but typically you look to your documents because you can only assess for what your documents provide for. So that's the basic budget process.
Okay, so I'm sitting out here, I'm listening to the show. Do you go out to meet new clients? Someone's interested in retaining your firm. Do you go to them, or do they normally come to you?
Either way. Quite often we do go to them. There's no charge to meet with us to discuss the possibility of hiring the firm.
And who should be in that meeting?
It should be board members that are in the position to make decisions. It doesn't have to be the whole board. It doesn't have to even be a quorum of the board. It just enough to make the recommendation back so that the board can make its ultimate decision. But we will come to the community. Usually it's with a board meeting that's already going on. Sometimes there's other attorneys that are being interviewed at the same time. We
That's
also will have the association or their representatives into our office, and sometimes it's helpful for them to see where we are, who we are, and what our operation is to help them and make their decision. And so we're certainly happy to meet with them there.
Somebody who thought you were going to be on last week who texted us about, can they come to you to get a second opinion?
Well, certainly. are available for all sorts of legal services, and we're happy to provide second opinions on any issue that an association may already have an opinion on.
Okay. Now my big question. I'm sitting here, I'm listening. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of education that an association needs to know. Why should I hire your firm?
Well, our firm stands out, in our opinion, from,
how long have you been
others.
in business, first of all?
Well, the firm began in 1992.
Okay.
I personally have been doing community association law in Florida since 1987. Misters Rembaum and Bender began in the 90s, so they're a little bit younger than me. But they've been doing it a long time.
We love you, Michael.
Collectively, the firm has literally over 100 years of community association experience to offer to our clients. But we also provide the service side of it in a way that we think separates ourselves from the rest. We also have retainer packages that are also somewhat unique. We were the first in the area to provide our collection services on what we call a deferred basis, where we advance the fees and costs and collect them back from the owners that are delinquent, and without billing the association. In many instances, the association never receives a bill, but they get all their money. So that was a very favorable process that many others have tried to copy since then.
I like that idea. That's good.
We started that day one in 1992. But also, when they come to us, it's always been our procedure and policy that we answer their questions directly, completely, and fully in an understandable fashion, and as quickly as we can, generally within a day, sometimes the same day, but certainly a day or two, not weeks of waiting for your attorney to get back to you. If litigation
that's
is
very
involved,
important. I mean, that's very important in the business that
yes,
you're in.
Well, sure. And litigation certainly is something that down here everybody faces ultimately at some point. And we make sure that we handle our litigation matters in a similar fashion, where the board is kept apprised of what's going on and involved, and we try to do so in as most cost-effective way as we can. Litigation is expensive no matter what.
It seems like you're always educating people, because you've got like all of your seminars that you do, you're always out there educating. And like I said, there's so much to know, whether it's HOA, whether it's condos, and
well, they say knowledge is power, and we don't disagree with that, and we believe it's in our best interest to provide enough knowledge to our clients to help them in operating their communities, and hopefully also deciding that we'd be the ones to help them with their legal needs.
Now, elections are coming up.
Elections are, well, this is the season for elections.
Is there somebody who makes a good board member or a good president of the association?
Well, every community is unique in that respect. Obviously, it's a personality thing to be good, but it's also important to pay attention to the details that are involved and to be involved with all aspects of,
you have to have
of
a
your
certain
community.
background.
There is no requirement other than you can't be a convicted felon, and you can't be delinquent in your monetary obligations to the association. But that's why there are experts in the area to assist the board in making their decisions. It's good to have some kind of a business mind, because you are operating a business, but it's not mandatory, as long as you are reasonable, open-minded, and willing to give of your time.
Well, I told you one of my best friends in Dallas is president of the association.
Still doing it, huh?
Still doing it. And he actually loves doing it, too. So, hour goes by so fast. First, I'll give everybody your phone number.
You can reach us at 800-974-0680, or you can reach us by email at info at KBR, the initials, legal.com, or just go to kbrlegal.com.
Wonderful web. There's so much information on your website. You can actually go back and watch other shows that we've done. And Robert's going to be with us again the first Thursday.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Everybody,
Thanks
we'll
for
be
calling.
back next week. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show. Tune in while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.